To the Most High. We are back again with the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Second video. Okay, this is third page of the articles. So we're just gonna get into affirming. These are reasons why they decided to have a committee to affirm and to reaffirm, to be concerned, because they are concerned about the indigenous people, and they recognize the urgency and the need to respect and promote the inherent means what we inherit from our ancestors. Our rights that we got from the land is another word for us: unalienable rights, inalienable rights, God-given rights to the people who He separated. Wherever they are, they have rights where He separated them off to. Now, we'll get into that, and then we got recognizing also the urgent need to respect and promote the rights of the indigenous people. So that's what this is about. This page is sort of like an introduction to the reasons why they thought it important. Let's get into affirming. Affirming it's a big yes. It's a real big yes to a question, a situation. They say yes. Okay, that's what affirming means. Farther, let's read it. Further, that all documents, policies, and practices based on the advocating superiority of people or individuals based on the nation, origin, race, religion, ethics, or culture differences, or race or racist, scientifically false, illegal, violent, moral, and condemnable, social unjust. These are the things that's going to be addressed, that they are addressing. Biases of they address your national origin, your nation origin, where you came from, your race, what race you are to be supporting. It's all right to be racial, but it's not all right to treat people bad because they are a different race. It's called ethnocentrism, to treat them bad because they're not from your race. Treat them illegally, to violate their legal rights to be who they are. You can't force them under your jurisdiction, under your laws, because they are sovereign to their nation, right? And everybody has the right to govern themselves based on their nation's rules and laws, right? God gave the Israelites a law. He gave them an inheritance of the earth. And He gave the other people their inheritance too. And He told us not to go and invade their inheritance, their land. Don't force them under our jurisdiction, right? Just enforce the law He gave us in our land. We enforce the law He gave us in our land toward our people. And basically, we under grace. We can't go stone people. We can't announce judgment on people unless they're out harming people. We can put them in jails, and we can come up with what, since we can't capital punishment is, we can't do that, but we can put you in jail for a long time depending on how bad the crime is. The crime and the punishment. The law of the land, that's the law of the land, is you develop a punishment, a time you hold people out of society because they are a menace to society. So you got to hold them. You got to try to reform them, you know, depending on the crime they committed. That's the law of the land, every land. You make those kind of laws up, but God already has a law and a judgment that he stayed the judgment part of. When Christ died, he gave us grace. But that don't mean that you can go do whatever you want, Israelites, to each other, and nobody's supposed to stand up and police you. You can't judge me. We got to judge you. What the hell are you talking about? But that's in every nation. Every nation. Another nation can't come over, meddling in your affairs and judge you, force their laws on you, and judge your people for breaking their laws. You see what I mean? See how crazy the United States is? See how crazy these people are? Because they claim the world for themselves. God didn't give that responsibility to them. Jacob told Esau that's what he would be doing. That's his part, is to be lawless, a vagabond, and a fugitive in all the earth. That wasn't a blessing. I hear people say that's Esau's blessing. That's not a blessing. That's an announcement on what he would be doing in these last days. In his day of rule, he would rule with illegal laws and with wicked. He wouldn't call him the wicked if his laws were righteous and the law of justice. If his laws was just and ordained by God, he wouldn't be called the wicked. Okay? So this is why they made this laws for indigenous people, because Esau needed something godly to police the people by, right? And he said, if you know, this is his so-called reasoning, racial, religion, he gonna, you have to write your own religion, your ethnic or cultural differences and cultural differences are racist, scientifically false. Cultural differences are racist and scientifically false. He's trying to, let's see how he worded this. He's trying, the way I'm reading it, he's trying to force us under his jurisdiction just with that statement again. He said, let me read it one more time. Further, that all doctrine, affirming further, moving from this, remember he's affirming up here that the indigenous people are equal to all people. He brought us down, right? They brought us down. The Israelites, you brought down, everybody's equal. Everybody ain't equal. While recognizing the rights of all the people to be different. Recognizing the rights of all people to be different. Our rights are different. Our rights ain't different. Every man, you can't force us under your jurisdiction and say, hey, we can give you certain rights and then we'll give you certain rights. I think that's what they're trying to say, that the rights are different. What does that mean? Either that means we are above them and we make the laws and they have to follow the laws, or either, no man can judge you. Only God can judge you, unless in your community gives certain people power and makes certain laws of the land to deal with criminals. But another people from another sovereign country nation come in and force you to keep their laws and their judgments. He said, recognizing the rights of people of all people to be different, to consider them different, and to be respected as such. Okay, what he should be saying is what I just said. Every people can make their own laws, and we can't go in. We have to respect what they do as a nation. We can't force them on our nation. See, but they worded it wrong. They worded it wrong so they could, they always leave a loophole. Affirming also that the people contribute to the diversity and riches of civilization and culture, which constitute the common heritage of humankind, the common heritage of humankind, right? Now that should be respected. Every man has their own heritage, even their law, their land, and nobody else should intrude and invade another person's land and try to say, hey, we doing a moral check on you. You ain't treating your people right. God didn't give that to the Edomites to do. So that's what it's saying, affirming further that that all doctrine, policies, and practices based on or advocating superiority of people or individuals and based on and individuals on the basis of national origin. Okay, I understand. That's what he's saying. Now your national origins, who you are, and you gather up with your people. If you go over and say, I want to be a United States citizen, you have to follow their rules. If you say, I'm an Israelite, we were here, we indigenous to this land, and we are Moors and Israelites. We had government before George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. We know what that means. In case people who don't know, that means that they overthrew the Moorish government. It took them 400 years to bring George Washington in as president to conquer the government. It was an overthrow, right? So it's saying we respect everybody's individual sovereignty in their land, their science, whether it be false, illegal, legally invalid, moral, condemnable, and socially socially unjust. You got to still respect it. As long as it ain't spilling over in your territory. And said, reaffirming that indigenous people in the exercise of their rights should be free from discrimination of any kind. So what they're saying, their police can't come and tell you have to follow their laws. And you know what I mean? They say discriminate against that. That's almost saying like they're policing you, right? You are under their custody. Actually, it said you are in their land under their custody, and you get to follow your laws. You get to follow your culture and your beliefs because you're sovereign. How can they tell the indigenous people what their rights is? So we just breaking this thing down, man, because we're going to get into the laws and the rights, the do's and the don'ts. But see, they setting it up to make people think that they're giving us rights. That they're saying, okay, we're going to give y'all this and that while y'all living in our country. But we are the indigenous people. How can they reaffirm indigenous people in their exercise of their rights? In exercising our rights to who? Who are you to be looking over here and say, hey, they exercising their right? They have the right to do this because we're gonna let them exercise their rights. Even saying that is racial, and they are forcing it, and they're looking at us like we are assimilated into their nation. They have absorbed us into them. That's where they looking at it. When they should see, because you gotta know that, because that's the way they did the so-called Native Americans, who they place as the Native Americans. They absorb them and they still oversee them. And they still tell them what they can do and what they can't do, where they can move around, what land, where they got to get permission before they build or put a window or a door on their houses, wherever they are. They got to get permission from a certain council, which have been delegates of the United States. They are under the United States thumb. The United States give them money. So they're really not governing themselves. This is the same kind of contract they want to put us under. But we're saying that this is not godly, and this is not what we're going to lay down to, right? I'm gonna have to end this. This is not what we should be agreeing to. When we say indigenous people, we are saying that we are the people of the land, and they have no sovereign right to say we have the right to exercise our rights. No, they can't say that. They don't validate us. They don't oversee us like that. Should be free from discrimination of any kind. To discriminate, to say they have the power to tell you whether you can do this or whether you can't. They don't have that power. Okay, let's say concerned. They are concerned. Concerned that the indigenous people have suffered from historic injustice as a result of alea, their colonization and colonization and disposition of their land. Okay, right. Territories and resources, thus preventing them from exercising, in particular, their rights to develop in accordance with their own needs and interests. Okay, they got that right. They got that right, right? They coming down to it. Trust me, they gonna get to. It's gonna make sense after a while. It's gonna, they gonna eventually have to release all jurisdiction. But in these affirming and reaffirming, they saying we understand that we are the more powerful, and they have been absorbed under our jurisdiction, and we understand that we need to release them to govern themselves. That's basically what it's saying. That's how I'm going to interpret it. I hope that's the way they mean it. We know they don't, because we see the way they've been treating us. Okay, because they are more powerful. They've been invading. They've been invading us, and on the roads, their police force that's under their jurisdiction. They do everything they shouldn't do. They violate their oath of office. They descend from being police officers. Well, you look at the Clearfield document. Whenever they do something to violate any treaty or peace and friendship or any treaty that we are recognized as sovereign with them, we come to them as sovereigns and make a deal with them, a contract that they will not overreach out of their territory or their imaginary territory, because we all travel the same roads. So their territory is their people who have consented to them governing them. Our territory is wherever we go, travel the same roads. They have no jurisdiction over us unless we hurt one of their people, unless there's an injury. Okay. Let's see. Recognizing concern that indigenous people of historic injustice suffer from historic injustice as a result of their colonization and disposition of their land, territories, resources, thus preventing them from exercising, in particular, their rights to develop. Okay, that's the part right there. That's what's going to separate us. This is where we got to start right here. That we have to separate from them because we have special needs to keep our law, the law that God gave us, our culture. We have to get back to that for our own good, and basically for their good too, because God is bringing them down for that very purpose, because he's saying, let my people go so they can worship me. They saying, well, maybe we will and maybe we won't, because you bringing us down while we letting them go, you raising them up. That's bringing us down. We ain't got no more people to work our fields. We ain't got no police to stop and get their bonuses and stuff, take to our jails. And we ain't got free labor. We can't use their free labor. We ain't got that no more. So let's look at recognizing the urgent need to respect and promote the inherited rights of the indigenous people, which derives from their political, economic, and social structure. Our political, economic, and social structure. That's all in the laws of God. See, y'all want to kick the laws away and say we don't have to keep God's laws, but our communities have to be set up by our rights, which are in our godly rights, how we treat each other, political, moral rights, that's my moral rights, how we treat each other, our political, how we set up and structure our community so everybody can get fed. Right now we messed up. We have to turn ourselves back into a community that's helping each other. We have to barter. Because we can't depend on them and their farms and their food sources and their water sources and all that. We need to be away from them so we can develop our own communities. Recognize the urgency. Recognize the urgent to need to respect, promote, and the inherent rights. That means able to set. We need to be able to set our community. Inherit. God gave us land. Every one of us supposed to have our own house, our own land, our own family land, plots and everything. We're supposed to be able to die and bury our dead in our land, on our land, right? We're supposed to be able to grow our own food. We're supposed to be able to catch our own water or dig wells or whatever. We dig wells. We got to do that. Chop our trees down. We're supposed to, have solar panels or whatever form of energy. We got to do that for ourselves. They say they recognize the need for us to do that. It derives from their political, economic, social structure and from their cultural, spiritual traditions, history, philosophies, especially their rights to their land and territory. They recognize that, right? Okay. Recognizing also the urgent need to respect and promote the rights of indigenous people. The need to promote the rights of indigenous people. We're going to end it here. We're going to try to end it here. Affirmed in treaties, agreements, and other structural arrangements with states. Just like they changed that 14th Amendment was meant for us. Who the hell do you think the rest of this stuff is meant for? Not just for slaves, because here's the thing. When we asked them for reparations, they said we had to prove that they had our families in slavery. Meaning that there was some free men who they reclassified the Indians and said, y'all Negroes now, we had land. We were free, we stayed on reservations, but then when they decided to take over the whole continent and eminent domain, they took and brought their people in and gave them the land just like they did, just like they're explaining now with the 14th Amendment that the people they brought in, this 14th Amendment wasn't meant for y'all. So therefore, all those treaties are still in place. This treaty right here is for indigenous people. They proved with that 14th Amendment that we are indigenous to this land. Whether they brought us over here or not, the slaves are indigenous to this land, and we fall up under this treaty. That's what's happening now. I'm trying to get y'all to focus on what we need to do. Y'all think, legally God's law. Y'all listening to Nate and General Yohana, and you listen to all these people who are scared. They're scared to stand up for the Most High and resist the devil. You have to resist him first in your thinking. You have to realize that God set this law up. This is the law right here. That every man has their own portion on the earth. And if you're going to stand up and just give your rights to them people without a fight, man, then they're going to take it and lay you down and take you to camps and stuff. But if you all decide to stand up for your rights, then maybe they will respect you as indigenous people. They already said through the 14th Amendment, why would they make that contract and include us in it? Because they knew that we were not of their nation, based on the conclusion of the Dred Scott case. We can't be, because if you pledge allegiance to another nation, if you say you're not white, I'm not Esau, I'm an Israelite, then you have pledged allegiance to another nation. You saying, hey, I'm not, and so you can't be considered a citizen. You can't be a resident of their fake territory, imaginary territory, right? Because we occupying the same territory, so it can't just be theirs. If we're indigenous, it's got to be ours first. They invaded us. They are on our land. So they can't make laws, take them back, make laws, take them back whenever it fit them. They brought people in this country. Trump said it was wrong for Biden to bring those people in this country based on the 14th Amendment. That's for the Israelites. That's for the people who was here before they got here. So that same thing goes for Trump and the people that his forefathers forced into this land. No matter how long you've been here, what Trump is saying, he getting rid of. Don't matter how long you've been here or how you got in here. If you wasn't originally here, if you're not indigenous, that 14th Amendment don't apply to you, Trump, and all white supremacists. This is what you got to realize. That 14th Amendment do not apply to them. So in other words, every people that is in this country, whether you're in the United States government, blue coats, red coats, British, French, you don't belong here. And if you're going to stay here, you have to get your own territory and leave us to our own territory. We can't keep walking around the same territory, and saying and trusting your police force to treat us right. We can't keep doing it. We're going to have to form security teams. We're going to have to get some land that we can survive on. You killed all our food sources. You killed the buffalo. You poisoned the water. You're poisoning the chickens. Those ain't y'all's chickens, man. You can take the hell and take them cows away and give us them buffalo back. We know y'all got some buffalo. Get that back to us and y'all take them cows, man. Okay? We want farming equipment. That's our steel you made that with. We want that farming equipment, and we going to do our own land and y'all do y'all's land. Because we know right now y'all need us because y'all can't stay out in the sun, man. Right there would be enough to make you want to live right and treat us right so we can help you. Okay. Recognizing that we got all that environment. Okay, emphasizing the contribution of the demilitarization of the land and territories of the indigenous people. Okay, they emphasize the contribution of the demilitarizing of the lands and territories of the indigenous people to peace. They want to demilitarize us, but we can't let them do that because they have a military and they have been dealing with us hostilely since they've been here. So we have to protect ourselves. Even if it's some good white people, that's good. Y'all need to police the bad white people, the white supremacists, and the people who Ku Klux Klan, and the people who hate us, the skinheads, the Proud Boys. Y'all need to police them people. You can't stop us from policing our own territory and making sure foreign and domestic terrorists don't get into our neighborhoods. We know y'all. We see y'all doing it all the time. Y'all have a reputation of that. You have a reputation. The Bible says y'all have a reputation of being nothing. Nothing means you do not keep the laws of the Most High God. That's the only thing that make you something. Emphasizing the contribution of the demilitarization of the lands and territories of the indigenous people. Peace, economic, social progress, development, understanding, and friendly relations among nations and people of the world. We do that already. We improved ourselves. We do that already. So, yeah, we're not going to We're going to hold it 30 minutes, and tomorrow on the next video, we're going to cover this right here. Recognizing in particular the rights of indigenous families and communities to retain, share responsibilities for the upbringing, training, education. So they need to pay for that. They need to stop, and we got to do that. They recognize that we need to do that for ourselves. We need to teach them our culture. So you can stop saying critical race theory. Considering the rights affirmed in treaties, agreements, peace and friendship treaty, Constitution, and all the other treaties that they made with us, we got to go re-look at them. They are already grandfathered in the law. They are ratified in law. So we got to go and look at those construction agreements between states, meaning them and us, the states, and indigenous people. It don't mean every individual state that they claim. No, we are a state and they are a state. This is a two-party state here in this country. The Europeans and the Israelites are here in this country. We know, we can say who we are. We know who we are. This is a two-party state just like Israel and Gaza, Palestinians. That's a two-party state. This is the same thing. Consider, man. Considering also that treaties, agreements, and other construction agreements and the relationship they represent are the basis for a strengthened partnership. We don't want a partnership between indigenous people and states. We're gonna be in every state, but it's only a two-party state. Two nations. They call them the nation states. But now they're trying to divide. Remember what Netanyahu said? That's the people they hate. They're gonna drain us dry. They're gonna suck us dry. We're a golden calf. They're gonna suck us dry, chop us up in pieces, and sell us off. Because that's what they do to people they hate. We know that. It's out of their mouth now. So what we need to do is separate them, our markets and everything, separate from them. This is what we got to do. This is what we gonna do. I'm telling y'all, this is what God is leading us to, because he prophesied it in this is just a quick summary of what we're gonna go through next. We're gonna go through this in the next video. We're gonna start and go through this and summarize page 6. We're gonna summarize page 6. We're going to go through this first, because we're going to go through this in detail, acknowledging that the Charter of the United Nations and International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, and International Covenant on Civics and Political Rights, as well as Vienna declarations and programming actions confirm fundamental importance and rights and self-determination. That's free. You determine all people. Self-determination of all people. So we're going to go through and read that. We're going to show you what free is. We're going to go through that in the next video. All praises to the Most High.